Hi guys, and welcome to this week's collective reading. A very happy Michaelmas to all. Today, September 29th, is the feast of Saint Michael, but I like to celebrate Michaelmas all through the autumn season, or especially through the first half, let's say between the autumn equinox and through November. Michaelmas is a holiday that reminds us of our inner strength, so that we can cultivate it and have the courage to stay in alignment with our truth as we begin the descent into darkness, or the inner work that autumn and winter bring us. And Archangel Michael is here to help us keep that balance as we enter this deeper work. So that when you are confronted with aspects of yourself that you are not proud of, you have the courage and inner strength to cast these aspects out, right? This is the slaying of the dragon, which is how he is often depicted in artwork. He helps to bring us into alignment and connect with our higher selves. So with that in mind, it is incredibly beautiful to start out with the new man card. At the bottom here, it reads enlightened masculine, potential, and new earth. And this figure on the card to me quite clearly is giving Jesus energy, both as a father and as a son. He is really cradling the inner child or embracing it to give it that strength and courage to be in this enlightened aspect of the masculine archetype, right? This is the divine masculine coming online. And with all the flooding that is happening currently, my sister and parents both live in North Carolina and are being heavily impacted by the floods. Much luckier than others, as they both live in the mountains. But also the area they are from is in complete devastation at the moment. And it will be a long time before balance is restored there. And I bring this up because it's clearly in my lens at the moment, or at the forefront of my perspective, so it affects this reading, right? For those that don't know, I'm in England, and here we have also been experiencing a lot of raining and flooding, much more superficial flooding compared to what Hurricane Helene has been up to. But with the timing and other information that is currently in my scope, I am brought back to Atlantis and its fall due to the overdevelopment of the masculine and the masculine impulse going into a really negative place. And I do believe that the fall of Atlantis is the same great flood that is spoken about in many religions across the globe. In Christianity with Noah's Ark, that flood. And the element of water has always been attributed to the feminine impulse, right? And the flooding was a necessary balancing factor that the earth needed to bring in, right? To restore balance from the overdevelopment of the masculine. So what I'm getting at, to be very clear, this is not with an intention to fearmonger. I very strongly believe that we are nowhere near end times with respect to this lifetime. But of course, we will have struggles in life, right? And we do currently live in a world that has a higher regard for the masculine energy than the feminine. And even many feminists will prove this point by feeling they need to prove just how masculine or how strong in their masculine they can be to feel like they are earning respect. So I do feel that this new man card is a real, like a beacon of hope that collectively the masculine energies that exist in all of us, right, irregardless of sex, that collectively the masculine energy is fighting. It is engaging in this battle to cast off its demons. So there will be a lot of negative masculine energies and impulses out there currently, but understand that they are feeling the pressure, and that is why they are lashing out, because they are engaging in a battle that I do believe in my heart that they are losing. And that at the end of this all, it is the divine masculine that will step forward, right? And then the divine masculine is able to hold the space and create the structure that will allow the divine feminine in all of us, once again, irregardless of sex, right? To allow our divine feminine to go through the deep healing process that is really needed, right? And we aren't all on the same page at the same moment. So even though this is a collective energy, we could be looking at a few years or hundreds of years or thousands of years, right? Because our understanding and experience of time is, honestly, it's irrelevant to higher planes that either experience time differently or not at all, right? But within this collective, right, to those who are listening now, I do believe that this new man card is resonating with what you are dealing with in your life right now. But then that there is this dichotomy of not being able to necessarily see this happening in your greater community or on a mass scale. But I genuinely believe that this is where we are heading in the grand scheme of things. Right? It's not going to be an overnight thing. But I do think that within the collective, we will be really feeling this new man shift or stepping into our divine masculine energies happening at this time. So our next card, I may actually speak about these two together. So we have citrine and petrified wood. And I do want to point out that numerologically speaking, we have 9, 8, 7. So I do feel like we're looking backwards. Like the current situation is a recapitulation of what's happened before, right? Of what I was speaking about with Atlantis. But this is like an echo. It's like a softer reminder in comparison. And I don't mean to make small out of what people are dealing with in their life right now. But this 9, 8, 7, it's like the counting backwards when going into a past life regression meditation, or even just looking back into your current lifetime to see and analyze what negative patterns you are holding on to and how you can release them, right? So what about what you are dealing with right now is just a recapitulation of a pattern that you have been holding on to. Right? So back to these crystals or minerals, we have citrine. And I do want to mention quickly that in the book for this card, it actually sums up citrine with the statement, letting go of any and all negativity. Right? So Archangel Michael, he's really guiding this reading today, helping to release our negative thought patterns, addictions, habits, what have you. And I love citrine because it connects to both the sacral and the solar plexus chakras. So it really helps with that balance, as the sacral is seen as carrying a more feminine energy, but then the solar plexus is more masculine. And overall, citrine is well known as a crystal to bring in abundance, to call it in. This is a crystal to manifest with, right? Because what is the point of casting out these parts of ourselves we don't like? But let's be honest, these parts of ourselves that we don't like, these are usually our comfort points as well. That's why we hold on to them, because we're comfortable here. But in cutting them out, we're making space for all of our manifestations and abundance to come through, right? So this is the point of working with citrine. Yes, manifest, but there's a trade-off. We need to keep these scales in balance. So what are you building up the courage to release with trust in your heart that it is not good for you, and will create the space for something that is good for you to take its place? And petrified wood, right? This is the 987. This is the going into the past, the looking back, seeing how you play into the negative situations that are manifesting in your life. And how can you be in control of this situation, right? Rather than being the victim. Take the reins back. Face the reflection and see the part you've played and do your course correction work, right? And paired with citrine, the abundance that flows back in is amplified. So working with petrified wood, it gets you there. Normally with patience involved, right? But citrine is bringing in like an avalanche. And if you do have these crystals to work with, that is amazing. But I do also feel like this is just the message that Archangel Michael is bringing us today. So if you take on this work to release that which doesn't serve you, that if you are honest with yourself and the negative roles that you have played into and you're ready to shed these roles, right? He is awarding you with abundance. And this last card, all I can do is laugh, or really I've got a really dumb big grin on my face. at all the perfection and synchronicity that this reading is bringing in, right? This is the Six of Swords. And actually, I'm going to talk about the Six of Swords before I go into the tangent of this particular deck. So, of course, a Swords card with Archangel Michael, right? And the Six of Swords is all about stability after chaos. And the more traditional Rider-Waite-Smith depiction of this card is a family in a boat, and they're leaving the chaos behind them for the promise of something better. So this flooding analogy just doesn't stop. But the Six of Swords is all about moving away from the source of conflict to make sense of your personal beliefs about life. And I say your personal beliefs because swords is the suit of air, or our thoughts. So really cutting out the demons that exist within the mind, right? Or within you. Now my little tangent, but totally in full synchronicity with this reading. I've been using this deck the past few weeks since getting it. So it's been in the past few collective readings. So if you've listened to them, you've heard me mention this, but this deck works with a color therapy system called Aura Soma. So there are color therapy bottles associated with each card. I have a couple literally right here on the altar above my tarot decks. My tarot this is like my tarot card reading desk. You can't really see it too well because when I tilt it, it moves. But anyway, this is not the same bottle as this card. It's just an example. But this card is bottle 59, which is the pale yellow over pale pink. And messages attached to this bottle are change in the way of thinking, new balance, clarity of thought, and the right perspective. And the bottle itself is named after Lady Portia. So the bottle is called Lady Portia. And working with this bottle is meant to work with the potential for great joy and happiness, right? So really this beautiful citrine energy. But with this viewpoint attached to the Six of Swords. So it really is bringing together this message that Archangel Michael is bringing us today. And there are a couple of other messages attached to this specific bottle that I would like to read off and share. And the first one is, judge not, lest ye be judged. Letting go of judgments through self-acceptance and caring brings greater discernment and balance. And then the second thing I wanted to read off was the affirmation that is attached to this bottle. And it is, I understand the laws of light and how appropriate they are for my growth. And that feels like a perfect affirmation to work with at this time. So I'm going to repeat it again one more time before saying goodbye. And the affirmation is, I understand the laws of light and how appropriate they are for my growth. And that is this week's reading. I am wishing you all the very best, and I will be back next week. Bye, guys.